Welcome back to Square Off. With the scorching summer heat just around the corner, we're bracing for high temperatures and higher electric bills. A reporter who's covered Arizona's electricity providers for years has a warning. If you're an APS customer, chances are you're paying too much on your monthly bill. The Arizona Republic's Randazzo joins us now to explain why your bill's probably too high and what you can do about it in time for summer. Welcome back to Square Off.
Thanks.
You first wrote about this story 3 years ago, advice for APS customers, and it has become, you say, your most popular story ever?
It's definitely one of them. If I take a week vacation and come back, this story gets more readership than anything else that I've written in the past 3 years. And I mean, thousands of people a month continue to find this story and use it, which is a little shocking because it's kind of dry material. It's like a primer on how to understand electricity rates.
And I know you're not bragging on yourself, but it speaks to the need and the interest. We all get these bills. We all want to know how to save. And so let's start this discussion kind of at the beginning. Viewers might remember the fiasco 5 years ago when APS rolled out new rate plans. Turns out they were not explaining them correctly to customers. What happened as a result of all that?
Well, the state regulators are still debating this issue. So the rates took effect in 2017. A couple of years later, the regulators realized that not only was the rate hike bigger than it was described, but that APS had done basically a lousy job explaining these new rate plans to customers. And more than half of the customers were not on their cheapest plan. All they had to do was switch plans to save money. And so they've spent years and millions of dollars trying to educate folks on how these complicated plans work and how to get on the best plan for your household.
And that's still going on. And right now they're in the process of tweaking these plans that cause so many issues.
That's right. So all APS customers are going to see a letter this summer that notes that the time of use hours are changing. So the hours when you get charged like 3 times as much for the electricity you use. And they're also going to see changes in how that's presented on their bills. So it's a good time to maybe reevaluate which plan they're on.
Okay, and so let's walk through the plans because as an APS customer, I can verify they are confusing. I think you said you have to be an energy ninja,
right,
to figure out some of this stuff. So let's start with the one that can actually save you the most, but might also be the most difficult to understand. It's the demand rate plan.
That's right.
Is that a good way to describe it? Looks like a money saver, but you can also get socked with a big bill. So give us, how does it work?
So the key to the demand rate plan, which is an option for residential customers that they could choose, the most important thing to know is that a big chunk of your bill is based on a single hour during the month. 1 hour on a weekday between 4 and 7 p.m. Those hours might not be in effect yet, so be careful there, but it is 1 hour during peak when your house uses the most electricity. And that single hour in a month can make a huge difference in your bill. For example, just running your washing machine, your dishwasher during that hour is going to boost your bill by about $20. So if you can wait till after the peak hours, after 7 p.m. to wash those dishes, that's a $20 savings right there.
And AC is the largest chunk of our bills. What if I'm running my air conditioning during those hours, which are the peak heat hours?
If you're on that plan, you want to minimize how much you use your air conditioning during that 3-hour period. That's difficult in summer. So maybe that's not the best plan if you absolutely can't do that. If you're working from home, if you've got a big family, everyone's in the house, if your house isn't well insulated and it's going to get hot if you turn the air conditioner off for those 3 hours, you probably want to reevaluate the plan. And that's part of the issue is there are many people on these plans that don't understand how they work. And so they're paying a penalty for that. And then there are many people who could save money if they move to this plan, but they need to understand the rules before they do that.
Yeah, we just did a major in-house energy renovation on our old home, and my guy told me, here's what you do. Before 4 o'clock, you jack up that AC way high, chill the house, turn it off between 4 and 7, and hope you get through those 3 hours until 7 when you fire it up again.
Yep, that's becoming much more popular for folks, especially if your house is in good enough condition to well enough insulated that it'll keep that cold air. So again, it's very cheap on this plan to crank that AC before 4 o'clock. And then it's very expensive to run it between 4 and 7. So that's called pre-cooling. And I've heard from customers who have had success with that. I've also heard from others who don't have very well insulated homes, and
It's not going to work.
It's too cold beforehand, and then it gets too hot before they can turn it back on. But that's definitely something worth considering, especially for people whose bills create a hardship.
Okay, let's talk about time of use plans. I think you've said they're the most popular plan out there. They're about to change. What do I need to know about those?
So right at the beginning of this summer, all APS customers on time of use plans, and that's about 60%. Those plans are more popular in Arizona than anywhere else in the country. The hours are 3 to 8 p.m., and that is changing. That is changing to 4 to 7 p.m. Regulators thought this would help customers by giving them a smaller window when they really need to pay attention to their electricity. But APS can't do this for everyone at once. So their goal is to shift like 20,000 people a day throughout the summer onto these new plans. So at some point this summer, if you're on a time of use plan, your hours are going to change, and you will want to take note of that. Yeah, obviously, you won't need to conserve for those extra 2 hours a day, but you will really want to conserve during the new peak hours. So APS customers need to look out for an email, a text message, a letter in the mail, some communication from the utility that their hours are changing.
Boy, that's really easy to understand. What if I don't want to be an energy cop around the house and just go for the flat fee? Will I get socked with a big bill?
If you don't want to think about it, and there are plenty of folks who don't, there is a fixed energy charge plan. It's the most basic plan. It doesn't matter when you use electricity, you're going to pay the same price, but the price you pay is more than all of the other plans. So there is, in essence, a penalty for people who don't want to think about it. There is a plan for them, but it charges the highest rates year-round.
SRP customers who are watching might be saying, hey, what about us? Why aren't we talking about SRP?
Well, the two utilities, as you probably know, you can be an APS customer, and right across the street are SRP customers. We did the same thing. We wrote this primer 3 years ago on how to understand your SRP rates. Almost nobody read it, just speaking to the demand for this kind of article from APS, because they introduced new rates, they were complicated, they shifted people onto the new rate plans and created basically mass confusion among their million customers. SRP didn't do that. People still want to save money on that utility, but they're not craving this information.
Ryan Randazzo, thank you so much for joining us.